Aloha, 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 guys. Hey, hey. We got me and Miss Sleuth Mom here. Sleuth Mom is doing mommy duty right now, so she'll be joining us in a few minutes. She's got a couple good old mommy things to do. It's a little harder when you've got little two-legged children to deal with. With the four-legged ones, I just keep feeding them treats, and that works really well. And but with the two-legged ones, yeah, a little harder. So thought we'll go ahead and start saying hi to everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys just knocked over your furbo. Uh, I don't know if any of you guys have these furbos. If you have a dog or a cat, oh my god, they're amazing. You literally put treats in them here, and you actually they're out right now. Um, and when you're away, you can shoot off treats for them. You can watch them. You can listen to them. It's so much fun. Except, yeah, mine keep dropping mine. They keep running into it, so I got to find a new place for it. So but hello, hello, hello. Those of you coming over here from Sleuth Mom's channel, that was a great live. Sleuth has been going live this week, getting ready. We've got election day coming up in 6 days. And guys, this is the time we need to come together and really start thinking things. It's not about, okay, my personal feeling, it's not about Republican, Democrat, or anything like that. It's about what needs to be done for the country. And today, okay, I'm going to ask everyone. We can keep things nice and talking about stuff and respectful. I live in Hawaii, which is a total, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy. And also, just keep that in the back of your mind, but let's say some highs. And I think I may have heard Miss Sleuth Mom come back a second ago.
I know, like my mic is, I think it might be picking up my fan. Hold on.
I think that's it. Yeah. I like her new. Yeah, I definitely love the new profile pic. So we've got Oscar was first in chat, and I know Oscar has a lot of thoughts going on right now. Cristola, hello, 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 my dear. And we got Kathleen, hello, in the bushes. How you doing, my dear? Cooter, how you doing? Libby, I've been sitting here working on diamond paintings. I must have probably about 50 things I need to seal today when I get done here. Red Rock, how you doing? So, yeah, we've got a lot here. What I wanted to do, this is, yes, we are coming up on election time. But one of the things that I've been dealing more and looking at more and talking with many of you guys more and more about is a disturbing trend that I have seen recently when I'm doing research for different crime cases, whether it's a missing person case, whether it is murder case, okay, trafficking, whatever. I have seen this is just my opinion, a huge jump in the use, the number of people who are tied to illegal immigration. Okay. On top of that, we're talking gangs. I'm seeing a huge increase in gang activity. Okay, absolutely huge increase on that level. Hello, Sammy. Welcome over here. And Miss Kimberly. Yeah, Sammy, that was an amazing live. I kind of got quiet the second half because I was getting ready for this. But those of you who want to be talking a little bit on the political side, getting your thoughts out and stuff, check that out over. I think she's going live almost every day if she can. So what I want to do, and Sleuth and I were talking, and I've noticed as I'm covering missing people, more and more I'm recognizing people saying, okay, a suspect has been caught. That suspect is in the country illegally, all these different things going on. And it's got me concerned. It's definitely got me concerned. About a week or two ago, let's see how many of you guys actually were able to watch it. The Interview Room did an amazing live about the cost of our open borders. And one thing that he was saying during that live is that this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. When it comes down to crime in general, we all bleed the same color. Okay, someone who's going to come up to you and unalive you or essay you or anything like that is not going to look there and say, oh, can you pull out your voter registration so I can figure out whether or not you're a Democrat or Republican? No, they're not going to look at that. Okay, this is a human issue. This is an issue for all of us here. So I wanted to kind of go through, look at some of the cases that have been popping up over. We're starting to see real numbers coming out. Kind of surprising numbers in the last couple months have been revised, and we're starting to see the truth. So, who else have I been missing in chat? I see Sleuth Mom talking in chat now. Let's see, we got our cooter. Siren is here. Hey, Siren, how you doing? And so, you have anything you wanted to add before we start just diving into this, Sleuth?
Did my fan affect it during last live? Did you hear it?
No, I did not.
I didn't change anything. So I'm like, why is it picking it up so bad? Anyways, I will continue to
Wonder
work
if you
on trying to
have.
fix
Don't
that.
worry about it. If you know, don't worry.
Oh,
about
look, it stopped doing it. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering because I'm on Restream if you had to set crisp up through the speaker microphone, maybe.
No, so like I've been using Restream too now.
Okay,
Anyway, sorry,
got
I
it.
digress.
Got it. You got no problem. So,
Hi everyone.
So, have you noticed yourself when it comes to crime in general, when you're doing your research and stuff? Have you noticed what I've been noticing, this increase in the correlation between crime and those who are here illegally, specifically gang members?
Yeah, I for sure. I mean, we're seeing it in all of these small communities, even where people have been placed, um, even legally. And I'm not saying that the legal members are doing it, like the legal immigrants, but with legal immigrants, you know, it does attract people from their same communities that are here illegally as well. And so it's happening all over this country right now in all of these different communities, whether it is, you know, gang affiliated or not. I would say that between the drugs, theft, even missing person cases, obviously the cases that you're going to show today, just some that jump straight to my mind.
Yeah, yeah. I know I've been watching what has been going on in Aurora, Colorado. Okay, with the whole apartment complexes that have been taken over by certain gangs. And it's in those locations you're literally getting those who are here. So when I talk about immigration, illegal or legal, it's affecting all of them because a lot of times those people are the ones also being affected by it. Okay, so it's not really this whole thing about, okay, we're going to point out a certain group. This is something needs to be addressed. When I look for cases today, it just, okay, amazed me the cases that I didn't even know about. So, what I want to do is bring up first, this is actually one of the cases that first alerted me. It was kind of like 1 week. We had Jocelyn Nungare going on. We had all these other cases going on at the time of runaways. And as I was reading into it, I came across this case here of this teen out of Indiana who had gone missing. And her father had reported her missing, wasn't sure if it was a runaway or whatever. For once in, I mean, I don't know how many cases, the police took it very, very serious. And they discovered very quickly that she was taken by 5 men to be trafficked. And I noticed immediately out of every case I was looking at that week, and there were like 4 or 5 cases, I'd say about 2/3 to 3/4 of them were connected to illegal, okay, immigration. So for those of you who don't know, we do not know the name of this girl. So it is a case that most people will probably never know about. And because we don't have a victim's name. And that's okay. I mean, this girl deserves to be able to live her life without being reminded all the time. She's going to remember no matter what. And also, but for
She's
those of
so
you who
lucky to be alive. So
haven't,
lucky to be alive.
and what gets me is these 5 men had been here for a while in some of the cases. How many others were affected in this time? So let me go ahead and pull this up so we can watch this and kick off our discussion.
Kidnapping and trafficking a 14-year-old girl from the area.
So frightening here. We are now told that she is believed to be home safe with family thanks to the teamwork of multiple law enforcement agencies. Our Kit Hanley has been giving us a description of the men, how this unfolded. And I know, Kit, you just also talked to detectives here in Indiana.
Angela, Daniel, that's right. Good morning. These 5 men beside me have been arrested and charged with kidnapping the teen, and each could now be facing up to 7 years in prison. We now know the case is in the hands of federal investigators, but here's what we've found out so far from the court documents we've been able to obtain. According to the documents, the Missouri State Highway Patrol was informed about the missing girl around 2 o'clock Monday morning. The girl's father had reportedly witnessed the young girl enter a black Dodge Durango with unknown registration. The father then contacted the Logansport Police Department to report that his daughter was missing. The Cass County Sheriff's Office then notified troopers that the missing girl's cell phone had pinged from the suspect vehicle with a Texas registration, and that the car was traveling westbound on US 36 near Hannibal, Missouri. Moments later, a trooper spotted an SUV that matched the description and performed a traffic stop, where he then saw.
I'm going to pause that for a second there, guys. You know, what amazes me in this case is this could have been any other runaway case that we hear about. Any other one. Okay, and this girl, and they will explain this in a second, spoke with one of these men on the computer. That's how she found out about them. And then she ends up on this cross-country trip. Thank God it stopped in Missouri. But how many other girls are getting into this situation? Or guys? It doesn't just happen to girls. And we have 5 men here involved in this case. How many other times have they made this cross-country trip is what worries me.
A girl in the back seat who identified herself as the missing teen. The trooper transported the girl to his vehicle and then proceeded to bring these men that you see on your screen into custody. Marlon Aguilar, Arturo Eustaquio, Noah Guzman Hernandez, Daniel Ruiz Lopez, and Carlos Funes. All of them are from Mexico and Honduras, and all 5 were transported to the Macon County Jail, where they have been charged with kidnapping and endangering the welfare of a child. Now, the men are being held without bond and are listed as a flight risk because they are illegal immigrants and a danger to children. And documents also note that they believe the men were trafficking the girl to California. But again, Angela and Daniel, she's believed to be home with her family. Yeah. So that's the good news here that we found out.
The question investigators are going to also look into is how long these 5 men have been in the country illegally as well.
Right. I did leave a voicemail for Detective Brad Miller with Logansport Police Department, and I asked him, you know, if you have any information from the father on the 911 call, if he said, hey, they grabbed her, they lured her into the car, how did she get into that car, and what was that scenario like?
Right. Did she know, you know, another TV station is reporting out in Missouri that she had met somebody online, that there was probably maybe some connection there, but we don't know. That hasn't been confirmed by us. So we have so many questions.
We will continue to follow it.
Okay,
What are the chances? Yeah.
I was going to say,
no,
so you're in this situation. So she met them online. Imagine how many other cases that we are following actively in this community that there has been known online activity and then the child has gone missing. I mean, I'm just going to say Sebastian Rogers could he have been
easily
kidnapped by an illegal immigrant or somebody of that nature? I mean, there are many, many cases where teens have gone missing and then they are found months and months later with adults. I'll just say adults because sometimes it's men, sometimes it's women. But those people are easy to find because they eventually connect an IP address or they connect some type of license information or vehicle tag information or license plates, whatever, that they're able to locate, you know, who these teens left with eventually. What if we're in a situation where it's somebody driving an unregistered vehicle going to a location where they're house hopping, they have no real residency, they're sharing apartments with, in some places, 20 to 30 other individuals. You know, what if it's somebody who can't be tracked that picks up your teenage child or lures them to come out to a vehicle and takes them? You know, never mind just this case.
Exactly. And that's one thing over and over as I'm looking at articles today. And first of all, what you say about it not always being men is right. Okay, one of the articles was talking about this one town where I think it is Trinidad is very, very active. And the leader there is a female. She's the one in charge there. So it isn't always men. Okay, you've got these other groups going on. And even among trafficking, you usually have one female who is kind of in charge of pulling things together and keeping the trust there and stuff like that. A lot of times that's the best way is to build a trust system on that. Think about these guys here. They've all been here for certain amounts of time, and this is just 5 of them. Okay, how many is this to come together with a group of 5 men? Okay, like this. They've come together and formulated a team that has been doing this. And what worries me is, are there other women's faces behind this? Other
Oh,
girls who made that trip?
these
And we
type of
don't know.
monsters rarely work together as groups until they're comfortable. So how
Exactly.
long did it take you to get comfortable before you met 4 other creeps that you were willing to kidnap and violate a teenage girl?
Right.
That's a terrifying
Yeah.
thought.
And many of them were friends to get 2 of them. Okay, you got Mexico and Venezuela, I think it was. And the Venezuelans were friends. They knew each other. Okay, there were history, okay, in the past, things like that. So there are major, okay, this expands beyond just this group. Okay, how many other times? Okay, in New York, I think, I don't know if one of the articles that I kept up for us to go over today goes over this, but it talks about a woman calling up 911 and actually telling people, I'm being held, okay, and being forced to have okay, being trafficked, and to pay off, I forget the exact $15,000 or whatever it was that she paid, okay, other people paid to bring her to the United States. So she's now working in trafficking to pay off her, but she's a slave, basically, an indentured slave at this point. And these are the groups that are set up across the border, and they have now infiltrated, and they've got it going from both sides of the border now. So it's just so, okay. I'm actually going to take us now over to an article with some actual numbers, because that's where it gets very interesting. Let me see here. Yeah, the more I looked into this TM, the more I saw these things, and I'll be honest, I have a little bit of articles on both sides of the aisles as well as the middle. Okay, Real Clear Politics. Okay, I will say there's a website out there, Ground News, that kind of will look at the biases of articles. So I wanted to really take a look at those. They do say Real Clear Politics kind of goes a little bit more on the Republican side. But I literally have an article at the end of this thing from NBC, who we know tends to go on the other. So, but what I did like about this Real Clear Politics thing is the specific numbers they share here. This is the new data, okay? And it's just so you guys, October 1st, so 1 month old. And Sleuth, I think you know about the new data that came out in October, correct?
Yeah, it really highlights those different individuals that have these convictions for these criminal charges. And they don't, I mean, look, 9,461 for sexual offenses.
That's ridiculous. And this all came out of Representative Gonzalez saying, we got to take a look at this. We've got major issues. It's taken our local politicians to come up and say, you know what, this is going on. This is what used to be seen as just Texas's problem is now spreading across the nation. It's now in all the big cities. It's moving into the small cities now. And so, as I mentioned here, ICE checks the background. Okay, and this has been something interesting. ICE, other than Texas, very few states have the ability where they are checking fingerprints with ICE when they arrest someone. Okay, Texas has a really good system in place to do that. And they do that regularly. According to administration's letter to Representative Tony Gonzalez, shows that as of July 21st of this year, ICE let 435,719 convicted criminals and 226,847 people with pending charges in their home countries into the U.S. Okay, now this is not, people that have a criminal history here. These are people with proven criminal histories in their home country. Okay, pending criminal charges where they should be going to court in their own homeland, and we're bringing them in here and allowing them to come in here, expecting they're going to all of a sudden not have any problems. Of those cleared by ICE, 13,099 have convictions for homicide, a number that we've been talking about a lot. And another 1,845 are facing criminal charges. Some 9,461 have convictions for sex offenses, not including assault or trafficking. Okay, trafficking, pimping, all those. 2,659 face pending charges. The convictions include other crimes such as assault at 62,231, robbery 10,031, SA 15,811, weapons offenses 13,423, and dangerous drugs 56,533. Guys, these are not someone stole clothes out of Walmart or Kmart. These are violent criminals. Violent criminals who probably are going to continue those behaviors as they cross the line. Criminals that may already have connections, because a lot of times when you are involved in trafficking, drugs, assault, robbery, they're very often just not even in immigration, just Americans. There's a tie to gangs. When you've got a location with heavy gang activity, you also see those types of things increase. So of course they're going to increase here. And about 7.4 million non-citizens are in the national docket data. So about 9% of them. And if one extrapolates the numbers to homicide rate in this country, it strongly indicates that the government is letting migrants into the country who commit murder at a rate 50% higher than the rest of the normal U.S. population. So these are the numbers where we're pulling things back. Kimberly, love you, girl. Love you, love you, love you, my dear. For those of you who don't know, yes, I played the character Mary Lee in a movie. Yes, exactly. Go check Save Robbie's channel. And as they say, this is an underestimate for the crime rate. One of the things that you see in these cases is these people literally, many of them are not arrested or they're let go, because of the extra level of things going on, or they get away. How many of these other cases that we talk about, have people been roaming? Rachel's case. He literally was roaming around the country for what, a year before he was arrested? How many other crimes occurred during that time period becomes the issue. I'm just trying to go through this. We got tons of articles we can go through today. So ICE agents cannot access the same databases to check on the immigrants, and they didn't contact the immigrants' home country. Plus, the massive inflow of immigrants has overwhelmed the system. The deputy director for ICE blames the enormous workload agents face. And this is what they're dealing with. They want to help. We keep hearing this. Those who are working on the border want to help. They need to be given the tools to help, the ability to make the calls to help. So they haven't been able to do even limited background checks that they're doing. There are so many coming into the government, and that the government can't house these immigrants until their backgrounds are properly checked. So what they're doing basically here is someone comes in, okay, they go through, they're like, okay, well, we need to do all these checks on you, but we should be housing you until we have a yes or no on this, but we can't do that, so we're going to let you go. Just promise us you'll come back once we're able to do these checks. Do you think someone who is up for a murder conviction in their home country is going to return back to say, oh, you mean I'm not allowed to stay? Oh, okay. No, they're not going to. And that's the problem. The people that are many times coming in, not all, but many of the ones who are coming in are coming in to be part of this criminal enterprise, basically. It took over, let me see, going to skip over here. It took over 6 months for the Biden administration to finally respond to a congressional request for the numbers we're talking about. The deputy director for ICE apologized for the delay. As bad as these numbers we just went over, the reality may be even worse. The Biden-Harris administration is cooking the books to make the border crisis not look as bad as it is. And that's what's scary, because we've seen the numbers change. How many more changes? Okay, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not going to. I don't know. Okay, Sleuth, what's your thought? Do you think we're getting the actual real numbers now?
Not a chance, because I was just getting ready to say what Red Rock just typed. Venezuela does not tell us about their citizens. And so anybody who has come from Venezuela, and who knows how many of these other countries are the same way, but anybody who has come from Venezuela, for example, we don't know their actual criminal history. And so they very well could be sending just as many murderers and things like that, but they don't want to talk about that whenever it comes down to it. The mainstream media are not going to talk about that because they don't want Trump to look right, because he said during that debate that Venezuela emptied their jails, they emptied their mental hospitals, and they dumped them at our border, and they told them, don't ever come back or we'll kill you. And he said that, and people are like, oh, that's not true. That's not true. We would have so many more criminals than that. Well, here's the problem. We don't know how many Venezuelan criminals we have or not. We just know that we have a bunch of people.
Right. And, you get into the thing, and this is kind of tied in with what Christola said. Don't you find it odd that first it was defund the police, and now we have all this stuff going on? Okay. And yeah, you've got a lot of that going on. My whole thing is, if you're looking at this whole picture, okay, these people, okay, the guy who killed Rachel, okay, is going to probably spend, if not the rest of his life, most of his life in jail. So now we have taken someone that should be in his jail in his own country, where they're paying that bottom line, and we're going to end up taking care of him in these wonderful jails. And I'm sorry, the jails in the US are, you know what, pretty much heaven compared to a lot of these countries these people are coming from. And this is money that's coming out of our taxpayer bottom line. And we're just starting to see the number of people being arrested. At some point, you got certain places, and sorry, I'm going here with this, but New York, as soon as they arrest people, they let them go because they know it costs too much for them to keep them in jail.
That's what I was going to say, catch and release. And so you look at areas where this crisis has been going on for much longer. For example, California. We had a situation in California where they released 1,500 known pedophiles from prison because they needed to clear up space in their jails. That was something that we did a whole live stream on probably about a year ago now. But the reason is, so they have had this crisis there for much longer. They probably do have a lot more criminals in their jails for horrible crimes. But here we are, letting out people who need to be behind bars. And so where does the give and take go? I am all for making sure that people have some type of sanctuary if they really are truly fleeing their countries because they are in some type of crisis, or because there is, genocide going on and things like that. I totally understand. America has always been a country that is there to help people, that is there to help them financially if we can't help them physically. I am not against legal immigration or legal, yeah, immigration. I
Legal.
am, however, against illegal immigration. My family came over here from overseas at some point. That's how we all got here at some
Exactly.
point for the most part. And so I'm okay with people coming through and doing the legal process and following those steps. But at some point, we have to stop this constant funnel that is completely unchecked, completely unhinged, and it's really just tearing apart these communities.
Oh, yeah.
Lioness has been talking about Lockland, Ohio, and I'm just going to bring this up.
Mm.
Lockland, Ohio is a town that had around 3,400 citizens last year. This year, they have around 6,400 because they have had a group of around 3,000 asylum seekers that were placed there legally. Now, what does that do to Lockland, Ohio? Whenever you double their population, but you don't double the houses that are available. You don't double the jobs that are
Infrastructure.
available. You know what I mean? The infrastructure completely crashes. And so, whenever we talk about the economy and inflation, and we talk about the housing crisis, and we talk about all of those things, it all ties back to this border. Whether it's the crime, whether it's the inflation, it all ties back to the border because the more demand that you have for housing, because you're putting hundreds of thousands of millions of people into our towns, of course housing prices are going to go up. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so I don't know. Sorry, kind of just went off on
Oh,
a
no,
little
and
deal
it's
there,
true.
but
Well, but even with what you were just saying there, this is not immigration related, what I'm saying, but I remember a time about 10 years ago or so in Hawaii, we were having a problem with people from the mainland. Certain states on the mainland were sending their homeless with a one-way ticket to Hawaii because it's like, well, we're being nice to them. They won't be in 20-degree weather or 0-degree weather in the winter and all that. Well, the problem was Hawaii didn't have the infrastructure set up for all this stuff. And we went from an area that really had a pretty, okay, I mean, we had some homeless and all, but it wasn't like, it was something we could deal with and we could try to help with. Okay, our small communities and churches could try to help support, to something that is out of control now. And it's the same thing. And we do this in general across the board. Everyone tries to solve issues and not look at what is going to happen in the future. Everything connects. I remember back in the 80s. Okay, yes, I'm an old fart. I remember back when Reagan started giving out amnesty, okay, with illegal aliens. Okay, it was something back then. It was like, okay, we need to get all the alien stuff. Okay, illegal immigration out of control. Okay, it's out of control. We got to get it in control. We'll deal with it by doing, okay, amnesty for everyone's here as of right now, and moving forward, we'll fix it. The problem is we never fixed it.
right.
And here we are. Every single time we look at this and we're like, we got to do something about it, but nothing's being done. The
Mhm.
problem is the issue is becoming dangerous now. We're
Right.
not talking about, yeah, we're not talking about people who just need a job or this or that or whatever. We're not even talking about benefits anymore.
Mhm.
We're talking about crime now.
Right. Well,
And
and
that,
so
yeah,
you want to tie it back to crime. So what Red Rock said makes
yeah,
another huge point. Their children needs education. How do
yep,
small school districts educate all of the children? They can't. We already had a teacher shortage going into this 4 years ago. We
mhm,
already were struggling to keep our schools staffed
yep,
with qualified quality individuals. And so then you add on the fact that these children are coming from all of these different countries, so you got to have these different languages
yep.
and things like that all inside of the
Cultural
schools,
sensitivity.
the
Yeah,
cultural sensitivities and all of those things. And I'm all for making sure that they are raised properly, educate them, teach them how things need to be done, how what our customs are, how to live a successful life in America. All of that needs to happen. But how do
yep,
we actually make that happen? And so we're in this situation where down the road, I anticipate that the children, either the United States citizens who get the lack of proper funding and things inside of their public schools, or these immigrated children who have come to this area who are also dealing with the lack of funding in public schools, the lack of the resources to properly educate them, not to mention what Sammy just says, hospitals, doctors' offices, roads,
Exactly.
bridges, prices, all of it, so
All
we're going to
connected.
have this crisis, and then 20 years down the road, what is our drug trafficking going to look like then for all these individuals who are not able to get a proper education? What is our family systems going to look like then for all of these children who were raised in situations where they might not have a multi-parent family, where they might
Right.
not have been raised in situations to learn how to care for their children coming up? How many people are going to be committing crimes in 20 years whenever you have given them nothing to establish themselves as a productive member of our society? And so
Exactly.
it's very, very concerning to me where we will be 20 years from now, let alone in next year, if this continues to escalate the way it has been.
Well, you look at okay right now with Aurora, where literally when all this started happening, and you had that one apartment that was kind of being taken over by the gang and everything, and you had the people who were living there, okay, and were put there, okay, under real programs and all. They were being told, "Oh, we can't do anything about it." And even when the government locally was asked about it, they tried to hide it and say, "Oh, nothing was happening," and all. And yet you had people living there saying, "Yes, it is real." So the problem is we're setting up this thought of, "Oh, this type of behavior is okay." It's okay for a local gang to come in and take over this apartment complex and treat okay anyone who is staying in those apartments as their okay citizen, basically, that they can order around to do whatever they want to do. And you've got people scared and they don't have anyone to go to. And so anyhow, let's go within this. I just so that kind of went within that area, kind of giving us the numbers. What are we looking at? These numbers are scary. This is not the numbers. What worries me with these numbers we saw here, these are not the crimes happening here. These are the crimes as they're entering. This is what we can see moving forward. I know, Crystal, you meant that was something else. But moving forward, if these are the numbers of what is coming in, what's it going to be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as people start realizing this is okay behavior? Okay, because after all, we let it in now and we're not doing anything about it as it's happening either. And because a lot of these people that are having, okay, becoming part of the criminal networks and all are getting away with it because, to be honest, no one knows how to address it. It's not until recently that many okay police departments even felt comfortable saying we have to arrest these people. Okay, it's kind of like a game of hot potato. Do we arrest them? Do we let them back out? After all, because if we arrest them, now we've got ICE involved and we have all these other, so it becomes a hot potato game instead. So let me go ahead and move up. Now, this is where we're starting to see a huge, I had not heard about this 2-year-old. Did anyone remember the case from, oh gosh, earlier this year? There was a little 2-year-old who he and his mom got caught in the middle of a gunfight between, basically, I think it was 5 or 6 different people who were involved in 2 local gangs that pretty both all came from across the border. Put a 1 in chat if you remember that case. The little boy's name is Jeremy Poo Pajarez or something. I'm probably totally butchering that, and I apologize for that. Did you ever hear about that case, Nadia? I know I sent it to you earlier, but sorry, I got a moth flying
I
around.
do I do remember vaguely the details of it. I
Mhm.
had to refresh myself for sure, to see, everything basically.
Got it. No problem. One of the things I found, there were some articles with this, and we're going to go over this case real quickly, because this was the case of not only multiple people who had come over illegally, but at least one, as you see here, was ordered to be deported in 2022. 2024, he's involved in a shooting that kills a 2-year-old. And so we're not getting this follow up. And then you have this, you also have a whole neighborhood. This Langley Park neighborhood is scared to death. They're saying that they've seen crime go through the roof. And instead, what I see happen all the time is everyone wants to point to one issue. None of this is a one issue solution. It's going to involve many, many different things to find it. But anyhow, here we've got 5 people have been arrested and charged following a shootout that left a 2-year-old boy dead and his mom wounded in Langley Park. It happened the evening of February 8th outside Bedford Station Apartments on Kanawha Street. Police say gunfire broke out among 2 groups of people. 2-year-old Jeremy and his mom were hit by stray bullets as they walked through the area. While his mom survived, he did not. According to the Prince George's County State Attorney's Office, the incident began when Israel Fuentes Jr. and Johnny Tercios pulled up to the complex in a Ford Explorer that had previously been carjacked. So now we have carjacking followed by the shooting. The pair allegedly shot at another group, which included a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old. This is gang activity, who returned gunfire back. Meanwhile, Fuentes and Tercios were arrested on February 12th. Since then, police also identified Nilson Granados Trejo, 25, who was allegedly in the Ford with them. Now, this is where it gets interesting. ICE confirmed with WMAR News that Trejo was illegally in the U.S. from El Salvador. Back in November 2022, a U.S. immigration judge in New Jersey had ordered his deportation. Trejo was twice arrested in Montgomery County Police in March and September of 2023, just months before, twice. On each occasion, ICE says they filed an immigration detainer. However, both times Montgomery County Detention Center refused to honor it and let him go. So 2 different times. If any one of those times, what is the chance that this 2-year-old would have been alive still? Trejo is now scheduled for a March 22nd hearing in connection with Jeremy's murder. ICE told us they filed yet another detainer with Prince George's County. And as I go looking into this more and talking, looking at the different articles, people, what they're saying, things like that, you see very quickly a whole neighborhood coming straight out saying, we need someone to do something about this. We need video cameras. We need a way to say, okay, this is a safe place. We need more police going around. And you talk about the defund the police, Christola. I mean, how can you even keep extra driving around when people are asking for things to be defunded? And people, like I said, and I wasn't going to bring this part up, the article that I saw, I noticed a lot of the local news went, and in a way, we're doing this too here on a different side. They're sitting pointing it out as gun violence. Look at what gun violence has done. And well, the thing is, it's not just gun violence.
I was going to say, do you really think that illegal immigrants are going to be worried about following gun laws? Like, come on. Yeah, okay.
I didn't play the video because, yeah, that was my thought too. I was like, no, guys, this is the problem. We all want to look at everything as just get rid of guns and we're all going to live in rainbow-filled world and all. No, a criminal. Okay, now I do have some thoughts on, and that's a different issue. Okay, but I got news for you. These people who have no problem coming across our country, okay, as murderers, as people who've essayed, those involved in trafficking, things like that, do you really think they're going to sit there and say, oh, I'm not allowed to use this pew-pew here in the U.S., so I'm not going to do it? No. So you can't just sit and look at that. At no point did I see that news channel bring up these other issues, okay, about immigration, illegal immigration. Let me repeat, illegal. There are ways of bringing it. As Sleuth, you brought up a little bit ago, there's nothing wrong with legal immigration. That's what our country has been created on. That is what makes us who we are. We have systems in place. If someone's running away from a country, okay, because they are in danger from what that country might do with them, they need asylum or whatever the reason, they want to come to America. Okay, we have this in Hawaii a lot where people come from other countries to work here legally and send money back home to support their loved ones.
Right.
That's not what this group is. They're
Mhm.
not immigrants. They're criminals, plain and simple. So sorry. Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. And I think that the other thing is, um, whenever it comes right down to it, these people, I truly believe that there are places on this earth that are terrible, terrible places to live. And so there are reasons that these people are escaping those countries. Um, because of the situations. But we are in a situation right now where will they go to escape from here now that we are turning our country into those countries that they ran from? And that's going to be the issue. Where do we run to? Where do the people in South Dakota, these individuals that I was talking about on my live stream, where do they run to escape what is going on in their lands? These indigenous individuals that are dealing with their tribal lands being completely taken over by drug cartels. Where do they go to escape? How can they get freed from it? Especially whenever they were already struggling financially to begin with. And we're going to be hitting a double-edged sword here soon, where a lot of our American population is so beat down financially that in the event that some type of crisis would happen, who would have any type of backup funds to even begin to pull themselves out of that situation?
True.
Can we even help ourselves at this point if something happens? Or are we still just worried about taking care of the entire world, and can't help our own?
Yep, you got. Well, we're told you're on an airplane and those oxygen masks come down. Who do you put it on first? You got to take care of yourself. And we do have to. Okay, we want to help. That's what makes our country special in my eyes. Is we do want to help other people. Okay, we do want to be those out there to comfort others, to help out if there's a hurricane that comes through, a massive hurricane or earthquake or things like that. But we do have to find this line. Otherwise, our own can't help themselves, which becomes a problem. And I don't know. I just saw when I saw this about the little 2-year-old and the whole neighborhood coming together, screaming to be heard, what can we do? And this is inner city. It's now moving out of inner city, moving into other locations, which is getting even scarier because what's happening now is these groups, hey, BC, yes, that's even late for good old fashioned Hawaiian time, girl. You're even, I love you, my dear. And also, let's take a step back. Oh gosh, about 4 months. Daily Mail, I don't know what it is with Daily Mail lately. They've been getting better and better with sharing information out, without becoming the National Enquirer, to be honest. Let me see if I could pull. They've been doing a lot of different things about gang activity and the illegal gang activity from across borders because they deal with it too. It's not just America that deals with this. It's just lately we've hit a whole new level. And this was actually put out in June. And there was just some really good stuff. I mean, yeah, they go into all this stuff about, trafficking, Chinese crime syndicates who are running drug farms with slave labor. Okay, Mexican drug cartels operating human smuggling operations. Okay, some of the stuff what I wanted to really go through here and look at it. Well, and then of course, yeah, ISIS. Okay, we're opening ourselves up to a whole new level. We are talking right now about crime on a personal level. Okay, robbery, murder,
Right.
trafficking, things like that. You've got another whole level of that, which
I
is the
know. I
terror.
didn't even touch on that either yet because that's I mean, if you look at the average age of individuals that are coming through and they're primarily men and they're saying that they're all military age and things like that, it's a terrifying thought, especially whenever you stop and think about the different wars that are slowly trying to kick off all over the Middle East and with some of our allies and things like that. And
Yep.
you really stop and think about between that and how much of our farmland that we have sold off to different countries and
Mhm.
yeah, it's concerning. But you're right. You know, what we've mostly been focusing on has been, the actual people, the
Yep.
individual people that have already been affected by these crimes.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was one of the things that I know my mom talks all the time about the terrorism side. And at first I kind of like rolled my eyes at her, to be honest. But the longer time goes on and the more that I see happening here with regular crime, it's happening in regular crime. How hard is it to believe that it's happening in other types of organized behavior?
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah, one of the things this happened, and like I said, go check out the interview rooms live from a few weeks ago where he talked about okay, the open border and its cost. As he said, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's a human issue. It's an issue for each of us as citizens. Okay, these people, Trinidad, all these other groups, they're not going to be coming to you and asking for your voter card or anything like that. Okay, when they hold you up or something like that. They don't care about that. So, but if you're looking at these things, I know initially a lot of us were like, oh yeah, it's just coming into these okay, Texas and Florida and California. Well, take a look at the upper. Okay, what really surprised me here was the Northeast here. Look at all those dots up there. That's all Mexican cartel in this. I'm kind of suspect this information is older. We don't have a date on this here, but I suspect there's a lot more now in these areas. But if you're looking at this in Trinidad, Aragua, amazing. I had never heard of this group. And I'm hearing of it left and right, how quickly it's taken over as
Right.
to the point where they're saying we need to be naming this as a serious concern and danger for the population.
Well, see, and I was gonna
Uh
say,
yeah.
we know that South Dakota isn't even selected on this.
Mhm.
It's Mexican cartels that have completely just taken over different tribal lands. And so maybe they're not listed because it's tribal lands and it's not, American soil, quote unquote. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
and that's it.
why I don't know.
Do you have the data? I'm not even sure
Does
how
that
old this data, and that
Does that
becomes a
still
problem.
happen? Like, okay, so I know that Hawaii,
Mhm.
for example, has a lot of like tribal and sovereign lands.
Mhm.
Do you guys notice, has there been an uptick in people coming there as well, or not quite yet because of the fact that you guys are disconnected in a way from the mainland?
Yeah, not so much. Most of our gang activity tends to be in more populated areas. West Side
Mhm.
has a lot, Kalihi, not necessarily connected to most of our Hawaiian homelands are more connected to the Hawaiian culture
Okay.
more than spread out to other
Right,
cultures.
right. I guess
We
I was
do
just
have gang issues though,
Well, yeah, I
definitely.
know that there's a lot of different issues with like drugs and gangs and
Yeah.
like you had said they sent so many homeless people there and stuff like that. And so I do know that there's those different kinds of problems going on, but I just didn't know if you guys had been affected at all from this surge, I guess, coming up from the border. But it makes sense that you wouldn't, because how would they fly there? But I just wasn't sure with
Yeah,
the government
well,
flying them everywhere else. If they
I'm
were maybe
thinking,
like, hey,
yeah,
let's take the Venezuelans to Hawaii.
yeah.
Maybe they'll like
Well,
to.
actually, now the more I think about it, we have two different types of land when it comes to locally. We've got our native OHA lands connected, Hawaiian government that's just certain areas, okay, that have been. Then we have certain apartment complexes that are leasehold through, say, maybe Kamehameha or stuff like that, that are connected to Hawaiian homelands. Those apartment complexes, in a way, I'd have to go back and check all those things. I actually could see those many times are actually connected into some of the gang networks. So it's not like it's okay out in Waimanalo in a certain little land area. No, maybe not as much
Right.
there, but when you get into Kalihi, where you have some leasehold lands that are apartments dedicated to certain groups or whatever,
Sure.
yeah, you are seeing some issues there.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
just was
yeah,
curious because I
no,
know
it's
that like you
interesting.
guys do get disconnected from a lot of different
Oh
things,
yeah,
and you're just like that little volcano out
yeah.
there that we
But
talk about
that's
every
even
now and then.
changing. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, I've been amazed at how even crime here in Hawaii has changed.
Mhm.
And I have a feeling a lot of that is tied to criminal networks, whether it be stuff coming from originally, most of our network that was coming in was coming more from Asia.
Okay.
So Japan, things like that.
Right.
Uh, but I think we are starting to see more. Of course, we had blood scripts, things like that
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a while. But now are we seeing like the triads?
Mhm.
Okay, I had not heard of Trinidad here, but I'm beginning to wonder if it's there and I just don't know about it. It's
Right.
very possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you think that from what you are feeling and experiencing in your local media and in your um just being around other
Mhm.
individuals and stuff like that, do you think that Hawaii is going to stay as strong blue as they have been with everything that has been going on, especially with the fires and things like that and how dirty they did you guys through the fires? Do you think that it's going to affect
True.
anything or no?
I think it'll stay the same.
Yeah.
I honestly, throughout, I've been here since 87. And from the moment I moved here, it's always been Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. It's
Right.
full force left. Tulsi Gabbard,
Pennsylvania was like
we're
that
talking
also,
about
though.
before.
For a long
Yeah,
time, we were
no, true,
always
true.
Democrat. Mhm.
True, true. And we had at one point the old boy network that kind of disappeared to some degree. It's still there, but not what it was definition wise before. There was a little time, I want to say in the 90s, maybe, I may be wrong on the time that we saw ourselves doing a switch towards more Republican. We had Linda Lingle come in. You saw Tulsi, even though Tulsi did run on the Democrat ticket, I honestly think she came in on the Democrat ticket because she knew if she came in on a Republican ticket, which she does lean more Republican. In fact, if you talk to locals here, they're like, no, she's a Republican. They've said that for years,
Right.
and she did that pretty much. A lot of people feel because she knew the chance of being elected as a Republican in Hawaii is maybe 5%.
Oh,
You don't
wow.
have much choice. You really do not have much choice.
So that's
Um,
interesting considering some of the different, I guess, laws and things that we have even tried to get passed as a community. Uh,
yep,
whenever it came to like
doesn't
Ariel and stuff like
match.
that,
They don't
it all kind
match.
of comes together. Yeah.
Yeah, there. It's weird how we have different things go. Now, I'm not saying there won't ever be changes here. Um, it's funny. I think I've voted for the group, that person that won maybe 3 times in my whole life. It's just the way things are. Also, I mean, it just amazes me. Okay, how often? But we did have a Republican governor at one point, so things were, but then it changed back. So,
Mhm.
but anyhow, continuing on with this. Okay, this kind of went into the whole move because this is what I think when we're looking at crime and illegal immigration, I think so many people don't want to talk about it because we're thinking about, Joe Blow who's coming in illegally. Okay, because they want a better life for their family so they can send money home and things. That's not the person doing this. Okay, the crime are these people who are involved in the gangs, which are becoming a larger and larger percentage of those people who are illegally crossing. And that's the problem. Um, Let me see. Now, okay, this new foreign menace has infiltrated the country, hiding among millions of desperate migrants. Now, more than 3.5 years after Biden's inauguration, Daily Mail is revealing the full devastating and perhaps, please not be irreversible, impact of his administration's systemic dismantling of U.S. national security and the groups that have thrived off the lawless border. On June 3rd, 2 New York City police officers investigating a spate of robberies attempted to stop a young Hispanic man speeding the wrong way down a Queen Street on a motorized scooter. A struggle ensued. Suspect Bernardo Raul Castromata, 19, pulled a gun, fired, striking one cop in his bullet-resistant vest and the other in a leg. The officer was treated at the hospital, released. Mata was arrested, revealed to be living in the country illegally, having crossed into the U.S. in July. What's more, Mata is a suspected member of the Venezuelan gang, once virtually unknown to U.S. law enforcement, Tren de Aragua. The transnational criminal gang has humble origins in Venezuela prisons, and like you just said, Venezuela isn't going to tell us anything about whether someone has a criminal history or something like that. So we're not going to ever get that information truthfully. But its members have since exported their savage brand to America, hiding among millions of Venezuelan migrants who have fled the crumbling socialist dictatorship. The NYPD has come to call many of these thugs ghost criminals because they have no way to identify them except for their tattoos. Members of the gang cover their bodies in distinctive drawings of AK-47, skulls clad in gas masks, etc. There is no illicit activity that Tren is not involved in, but they specialize in some of the most repulsive and detestable, including trafficking and human smuggling. Indeed, NBC3 reported that 3 Tren gangsters in the U.S. illegally forced 2 Venezuelan women into a Baton Rouge, Louisiana prostitution where they were forced to have sex with up to 4 men a day.
You know what's even more troubling and disgusting about all of this is that this is something that they know about. They know that this trafficking is a huge issue. They know that these things are happening. And then you got to stop and think, all of these cases, who are the customers?
Bingo.
Like, who are the customers? Who is the 4 men? We're talking about these cartel members who are selling this woman and selling these children and who are trafficking these kids. But who are the customers?
Who
And
are they being
how are
sold
they
to?
marketing their products? You know what I mean? And so it's a very, very troubling thought process that
Yeah.
I'm having right now, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing where we all want to sit there and look at one side of an issue and say, just get rid of this one side. No, we still have an issue here. I can guarantee you those 4 men are not all illegal immigrants. The majority of them are probably just people who live in the area
Yeah.
who think, well, it's okay to do this. So we've got an issue there that needs to be dealt with too. There's all these issues connect, and we have to be willing to look at all the connections, and that's the problem. No one wants to look at any of all of those connections. They want to look at what's easy to focus on.
I could almost guarantee that their customers are probably not illegal immigrants. I could almost guarantee it. Because why would they why would they go through all that trouble to come up here to do it?
Yeah.
And then, in that other aspect of things, if they were already, committing all of these crimes and things like that. Exactly. Sheriff Grady Judd would definitely be telling us too. He is constantly showing us pictures of the people. But it's disgusting because you got to stop and realize that it really is your neighbors, the
Yeah.
people around you, the doctors, the P Diddy's of the world, that are engaging in this type of stuff. And it really just makes you raise your eye and think about, if all of these untracked, undocumented people are having these crimes committed to them and being trafficked and having these deplorable things going on, how many customers do they have that the
You
numbers
don't
are as
sell.
large as they are?
Yeah. You don't sell something if there isn't someone to buy it. Okay, plain and simple. I mean, the Tamagotchis way back in the 2000s only became as popular as they were because there were thousands and hundreds of thousands of kids who wanted to buy them. Okay, it's the same when it comes to drugs. It's the same when it comes to trafficking. It's the same when it comes to any of these things. If there isn't a need, I don't even want to use the word need because it's not a need. Okay, but if there isn't a group willing to put money out for it, these groups would not be involved in it. Plain and simple.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
and Justin said Democrats, and I will say that I think that there are probably just as many independent voters, just as many Republican voters. I don't think that your party affiliation necessarily determines the level of grossness that happens in some of our communities. I think it's probably an issue on both sides of
I
the
agree.
fence.
I agree. I agree totally. And different sides see the solution differently. That's where the issue comes. What do we see as the solution to it? And that's where the fight occurs. How are we going to solve it? Okay. Going here within this, the open border is a magnet for these groups. They realize there's money to be made from human smuggling. It's becoming even more profitable than drugs. There are now reportedly more than 100 Homeland Security investigations involving suspected members. This was back in June of Trinidad. And the gang is suspected in criminal probes in at least 5 states, which I guarantee you is much higher than that now. It may be making headlines now, but many other criminal groups are also exploiting the porous border. What they're also seeing, other groups are seeing is, oh, look how successful these other groups have been. We can do the same thing. Okay, this has worked for Trinidad, so now let's bring our own group in. And that's what's happening now. Cartels. Approximately 10 million illegal migrants have settled in the U.S. since Biden took office in January of 21, nearly doubling the undocumented population. Even these startling numbers understate the scale of the challenge for the Customs and Border Protection officers. Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Jason Owens, has acknowledged that hardened criminals often hide in smuggled migrant groups, making identification and stopping them nearly impossible. Late last year, 250,000 migrants arrived at the border in a single month. An estimated 2 million migrants are known to have slipped into the country without any vetting whatsoever. We heard how that happens. We don't have the room for them while they're being vetted. Perhaps the biggest beneficiaries of this chaos are Mexico's ultra-violent and sophisticated drug cartels. Humira says the cartels are now the governing structure along the Mexican side of the border, and they grow stronger every month, bolstered by billions of dollars they heap every month from the burgeoning human smuggling business. Border Patrol Chief Owens revealed this week, back in June, that members of Mexico's Jalisco Next Generation cartel have been busted running organized crime rackets in Florida nearly 1,000 miles away from the border. Drug trafficking remains their number one industry. If you notice, each of these groups is taking one industry. Okay, you guys can have the drugs. You can have the human smuggling. You can have this. You can have that. They're not stepping on each other's toes, because the moment they start doing that, we've got war between these groups here on our own land. And we will then have to deal with those wars breaking out, which is why our two-year-old Jeremy was killed. And cartels already had entrenched supply networks inside the U.S., but the lack of security at the border made it even easier for them to move things. Drug trafficking remains the U.S. DEA announced last month in its annual assessment on illegal drug trafficking that cartels operate in all 50 states. The dominant organizations, Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels, have caused the worst drug crisis in the U.S.'s history. Meanwhile, U.S. intelligence officers are terrified by major national security risks. We're talking ISIS, things like that there too. And look at this here. Look at that picture here. Now, why would any criminal, want to be in this type of situation when they can come across the border, and even if they get caught with any crime, any murder, any SA, anything, smuggling, that's not what they're looking at here. They're looking at our jail and prison system. Huge difference between the two if you look at it. And that's why they don't mind it. And this is where they go into the terror discussion. 8 individuals from Tajikistan, war-ravaged country in Central Asia, northwest of Afghanistan, were arrested in LA, New York, and Philadelphia back in June. They were all charged with crimes related to illegal entry into the U.S., and all of them had reported ties to ISIS-K. ISIS-K, or the Islamic State Khorasan province, is a branch of the terror army that recently claimed responsibility for a March 22nd attack on the concert hall in Moscow that killed 105 people, injured more than 550 others. You remember that. The 8 men illegally crossed the U.S.-Mexico border over the last several months, and they were vetted by law enforcement before being released, according to officials with CBS. Only later did the FBI alert Immigration and Customs Enforcement of their alleged terror ties. That's scary, because that's one of the things we have control over, is being able to internally warn other groups, other departments of what's going on. So we know what to look for, what one department should be looking out for. And if we're waiting and not reporting things right away, that's how we see how many times recently we've seen cases, Sleuth, you probably remember as many as I do, where someone has been arrested and let go, and they find out later on, oh, this hadn't been reported yet, but they were going to be wanted in this other location.
Right.
Yeah.
We literally just watched that unfold with that guy who was wanted.
Exactly. Which, by the way, I don't think he's been found yet. I meant to check today, and
He turned himself in. Are you talking? Or sorry, I was talking.
No,
about
not Rink.
Yeah,
not Rink.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Rink turned himself in. There's another guy as of Monday.
Yeah, I seen you live.
Yeah, that one. That guy's. But in January, 10 retired FBI directors and experts in counterintelligence wrote a letter warning Congress that an unsecured southern border represents that greater security risk to the U.S. in a lifetime. So, and they just go through all this stuff. They talk about the Chinese. In fact, I'm going to give you guys this article if anyone wants to read it. We're not going to go through every bit of this article here, but just to let you see what's here. But the triads here and everything going on. I just want to make sure this isn't the one that has the article. No, it doesn't have that one. So, that's what's starting to happen. We're starting to see more and more cases where these gangs are creating the issues. And actually, sorry, let me just check here. Is this the one? Let's just go through the CNN one, and then we'll pull this thing to the end. Did I miss any comments there while I was reading?
Nothing that you want me to
nothing
repeat.
Major. Is that it? That works, no problem. So this actually came out, well, this was a June one also that kind of went through. So actually, I'm going to we've been an hour and 15, so it's been pretty long on those. So let's switch over to Rachel real quickly. Sure. What I was going to do is kind of show how all of this does connect, and how we can, if we do decide we're going to look for someone and find someone, we're going to find a solution we can. Mm-hmm. Because in her case, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and while you're pulling that up, one thing that I want to highlight is the there is a website that you can look at the non-citizen statistics for criminals that they have, and that's where a lot of those numbers came from. But you're looking at 1,254 have been arrested for assault, battery, or domestic violence. 864, these are non-citizen criminals, okay?
Yep.
864 for burglary, robbery, larceny, theft, or fraud. 2,493 for driving under the influence. 29 for homicide or manslaughter. These are from 2023, I should mention, because they don't have the updated data yet. So 29 people have been murdered or homicide or manslaughter by illegal immigrants in 2023. 29. I didn't know it was that many. Illegal drug possession, trafficking, 2,055 were arrested. Illegal entry or re-entry, there was 8,790 arrested. Illegal weapons possession, transporting, or trafficking weapons, 307 were arrested. 284 sexual offenses and 3,286 things listed. Oh, I'm sorry. They do have 2024 there. So 2024, the number was also 29 for manslaughter and criminal statistics. I can actually show it on screen if you guys want. But those are big numbers. What's this one?
Yeah.
10,000. Oh, let me see here. So
Lioness, I hope not.
it's
I
just
hope
too many.
not.
It's just
Yeah.
too many illegal immigrants getting arrested, and these are just the people who have been caught. These only it says listed after convictions. So obviously the arrests are going to be higher than how many people who have actually been convicted, which means they've already gone through the court process. So that's just something to
Yeah,
think
you
about.
got it. Yeah, you got Cristola, no problem if you need to leave. No problem. This, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I found this is the article that I read about that one thing. It mentioned here, but of all the crimes attributed, that they're talking Trinidad, including kidnapping and murder of a former Venezuelan police officer in South Florida in 2023, one stands out. In late April, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Department received a 911 call from a Spanish-speaking woman saying she was being held against her will at a residence and, quote, forced to have, sex with an unknown male for money. The woman later told investigators that she was forced to do this to, quote, pay off a $30,000 US dollar debt to a trafficker for bringing her to the US. So this is what's happening all the time right here. We don't think of this. We think of the trafficking like we opened up talking about. Okay, a teenager who's lured away and stuff like that. This is actual illegal aliens that are illegal immigrants who are coming over and abusing and using others because they know the hope that those people have in their hearts, and they're using that against them. Okay, they're making them work off time, using them as slaves, indentured slaves in trafficking. Okay, 4 people a day that she's made, multiple people. So I knew I had seen that somewhere, and I was hoping I could find that to share off with you guys, because that's what we don't realize. They're hurting even those who are trying to come in here. Okay, even if it's not legal, and they should go through legally. Okay, people are being played by this. Okay, people that don't care about humans whatsoever. So let me real quickly switch back to the thing. So Rachel, we all followed Rachel's case earlier this year, and they finally arrested him. And I just wanted to play this one video to remind everyone. Let's see, here we go. Okay, let me make sure it shared it correctly. Okay. Anything you wanted to say about Rachel before we move forward on this?
No, and I actually have another one that just happened yesterday. that we can show as well before we completely end.
Perfect. That works perfectly. If you want to share it, I'll pull it up when it's up. Okay, let me see here. Let's go ahead and...
An international fugitive in the United States illegally is also wanted for murder in El Salvador. Hello, I'm Steve Eager. Victor Antonio Martinez.
So while you're listening to this, in case you've forgotten, that's why I wanted to pull this up, how much this guy was involved in. Again, we are not talking about people who are coming over here because they want to earn money to send home, or they're trying to escape whatever is happening in their home country or something. We're talking about people who are here as criminals. That's their number one plan when they come to America, is to continue a life that they started where they moved from.
Martinez Hernandez was arrested Friday for violent assaults and a murder in the United States. Each of the alleged crimes committed against women. The suspect put up no fight when he was confronted by federal agents and police in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Sorry, I'm going to stop that right there because actually, Red Rock, you made that comment there. And yeah, I personally think we know, that the cartels, the gangs, they work together. So when you've got these groups of people coming in and they know they're coming in illegally, they will actually victimize women, young children, things like that as they're coming over. Well, you're going to get arrested as soon as you get across the border. You'll be sent back. But if you come with us, we'll make sure you get through. Okay, I promise you'll make sure you get through. Don't worry about it. Okay, we'll just have you do. Okay, well, you can help us with some things when we get there and all that. They're not told everything. Okay, they are manipulated throughout that process. And that's part of what we're not recognizing is how much they are victimizing other people who are trying to cross into the country. Whether legally or illegally, they're still victimizing them.
Fox 4's Sean Rabb joins us now with more. Sean.
Steve, Martinez Hernandez was able to move around, find jobs, and stay out of the grasp of law enforcement for more than a year. But with the help of international partners, law enforcement was able to track down this violent suspect. And now Dallas HSI, Homeland Security Investigation agents, had a hand in helping him get back to Maryland, where he is now. Captured. Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, an international murder suspect, also wanted for the violent assault of a 9-year-old girl and her mother in the Los Angeles area, and the murder of Rachel Morin, a Hartford County, Maryland mother of 5, snatched from a walking trail.
I just want to take this time to thank all of the law enforcement for all their hard work.
Martinez Hernandez, with an Interpol murder warrant in his name for killing a woman in El Salvador, ran from that Central American country to the U.S., caught by federal agents and local police in Tulsa June 14th.
Just glad to get that person in custody so that we could get him where he needs to be to stand trial.
Lester Hayes Jr. is special agent in charge of the Dallas Homeland Security Division, covering Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. Martinez Hernandez, surrounded by agents, was delivered back to Maryland Thursday.
My special response team, my SRT team, equivalent to a state and local SWAT team, was there to transfer from state and local authorities onto a federal plane, as you saw, and to send that person back east to face charges there. And
Martinez Hernandez reportedly crossed the southern border illegally 3 times in 2 months last year, deported each time before eluding Border Patrol on his 4th entry. He was in the U.S. a little over a year, literally crisscrossing the country.
in the year.
So this guy tries to come in how many times? 4 times. Then when he gets here, he's able to crisscross the country, not getting caught. No one's ever been able to pull him in. He's able to go and assault, a 9-year-old, kill a woman. And we know that he killed someone back in his home country. This is not a one case type thing. And that's the problem. People want to look at these cases. When you hear politicians list off the names, you have other people want to say, oh no, Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Moore, Molly Tibbetts, Elizabeth Medina, Kate Steinle, all that. Oh, that's just that list of names. No.
Right.
That's what people aren't getting.
Right.
Yeah, 4 times, Sammy. Yeah. So, anything else, real quick, before
No,
I hit?
I mean, and especially with like sexual assault, it's something that's so personal. And we know based off of the psychology of people who go through SA, they don't, there are so many that go unreported.
Yep.
So many that
Yep.
go unreported. And then you look at the actual arrest process, even the women who do report it and go for the kits after it's done. So many states have such a backlog of untested kits. And so how do you know it's just that list of people? How many untested kits are out there that could be linked to this guy?
Yeah. Or people who don't want to say anything. They see him here. After all, he was all over the United States and everything. And if he's done that many different things, there's chances there's other names on that list.
And even if there's
And
not, the ones that are there is plenty.
observed is enough. Yeah, exactly. One name is enough, much less anything that's beyond that. Yeah.
He's been in the country a little year plus. Who knows where else he's been? And it's a fear of mine. It's a fear of our investigators.
Rachel Morin's mother with praise through her pain for law enforcement who never gave up looking for Martinez Hernandez.
I am so grateful that they have brought us to this place. Because at some of the points during this, I didn't think that we were ever going to have an end, that it was going to be a cold case. So I would like to applaud them.
Now, Martinez Hernandez is wanted in El Salvador, but before he goes back there, he's going to have to answer the charges here. The assaults in California, that murder in Maryland. And if he's convicted of the murder, he could spend the rest of his life behind prison bars here in America.
And that's the other side of the whole thing that we're not even looking at, is all of these people sooner or later are going to be part of our prison system. Because we're not going to send them back out, because if you send them back out, they're just going to come back in again, unless we fix that also. All of it connects. And also, were you able to find that little thing you were going to send over? Show on stream. Let's see. Yay, the first time I've shared someone else's thing. I'm still trying to get used to Restream.
This is a case that I just heard about. This 911 call. This woman in Volusia County in Florida on October 19th, she let dispatchers know that she was in trouble by pretending to order a pizza. We've seen that in other cases in the past where people have done this. They ping her phone, they find where she is, and she is in a field, actively screaming for help whenever they approach. And this guy is actively trying to rape her during this. And of course, he is an illegal immigrant that is here and has been detained in the past. So let me just play this.
And an astute 911 operator may have saved a woman's life.
The woman called 911 and tried ordering a pizza, which was the tip-off, as a man held her hostage in a Florida field.
Trying to get a pizza?
What address are we going to?
Got my location, please.
The operator was able to trace the woman's location and send help, which arrived in the nick of time.
They found the woman yelling for help and a 27-year-old man assaulting her. That man is now charged with attempted sexual battery.
So down here below, it says that his name is Luis Diego Hernandez Moncayo. He was arrested on charges of attempted sexual battery by strangulation, false imprisonment. He's being held with no bond. He was here in the country illegally, and they have a detainer on him. He had reportedly applied for asylum the day before the incident. Literally just
wow.
the process. Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Sammy, thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear, for joining the group. You get the hello from Cassie. Yeah, and what gets me with those is we're not looking at these cases, okay, as, oh, bad, okay, illegal immigrants and all. No, that guy, if he had not been here in America, if we had caught him, if we had not let him through, all of those things, that woman never would have been attacked here.
Mhm.
That's the thing. It's these, yes, there are legal citizens here who do just as bad. Okay, people who live here that do just as bad shit every day, okay, of our lives. Okay, and that does not make it that one side's okay or the other. No, neither side's okay. But we got to do something about what is able to be dealt with, whether it
Right.
is the illegal side, the regular citizen, whatever it is, it's got to stop and we got to find solutions. Sammy, you are amazing. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much. And Dilly Pickles, welcome to the group. Welcome, my dear. And thank you so much.
And I
Sammy.
think you're exactly right with that. The fact of the matter is we have to try to prevent which crimes that we can. I think that every time that we approach these cases, no matter what type of case it is, we're always looking at the what can we do differently as a country? What can we do differently as a community? What can we do differently in these child's lives or in these adults' lives to try to make sure that we see the red flags and try to help prevent things from happening. But it's really, really freaking hard to prevent situations like this Florida woman or Rachel Warren or whoever, whenever we are letting literal criminals into our country with no leash, no way to find out where they are, and they're just walking amongst us. I want to remind you guys, 13,099 already convicted murderers that we know of, because Venezuela does not give us their
Doesn't
numbers,
even tell us.
walking among us.
Exactly. And we've seen what is one of the countries that is mentioned over and over when we're dealing with crime occurring here among illegal immigrants: Venezuela. That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest ones. I used to always think, oh, it's Mexico. No, it's these other countries also. And yes, I get what's going on. They've got a lot going on in their own country. And also, I understand the thought process, but there are ways to get through it. And we can look at that system, what needs to be done to change that system. But in the meantime, it's like me when I used to say within nursing homes. When I work within nursing homes and there's a fall in the facility, I don't sit there and say, oh, no, I don't want to address that this is happening. No, I look for solutions to prevent it from happening again. It
Right.
doesn't mean you're going to always prevent every little thing. We know stuff is going to happen. Shit happens, guys. I hate to, sorry for cussing, but it does happen. You can't prevent 100%. But when you've got a problem and you refuse to look at that problem, then we are the problem, plain and simple. So, but anyhow, you have anything else you wanted to share with us, my dear, before we sign off for the night?
No, not at all.
Yeah. You gonna go? Did your kiddo finally fall asleep?
She did. Yeah, she
Okay.
fell asleep actually probably about, I would say 20 to 30 minutes into the live. So
That's not
she's
bad.
been
I've had 2 barking the whole time, so.
haven't heard it. Thank you, Crisp. No, she's just been having a rough time. Like I don't know if it's because she's like maybe having seizures or whatever, but it seems like every time that they tell us that something has happened, whatever these episodes are, it seems like that night she has a very hard time going to sleep at night. So I don't know. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on. Hopefully we
yeah.
can get to the bottom of it, though. A lot of you guys know that we're kind of looking into it. Hey, before we sign off, I forgot to do this on my stream. For those of you guys who do believe in God and who pray, send good vibes, all your things. Um, my husband's cousin she had preeclampsia, right, and it turned into eclampsia at 6 months pregnant, and they did have to do an emergency birth today. Her baby
Oh my
is only
god.
1 pound, and she is absolutely tiny. And so anybody who prays, just keep little baby
Oh,
Amelia in your prayers
Amelia.
because she's about the size of the palm of my hand.
Oh
She's just
my
itty,
God.
itty bitty. So just praying for them. This is their first
Oh,
child. And so you could imagine the emotional state of her parents as well. And so just keep the whole
yeah.
family in prayer.
Oh gosh, gosh. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Those of you guys, if you're the prayer is powerful, I've said it over and over. I'll say it again. Prayer is powerful. Okay. So please keep, oh gosh, let it keep us up to date on what happens there. And we got kiddo in our prayers also. So, because that's a lot going on. Plus, you guys, it's a lot when you are worried about your own child. So, it's got to be rough. So, prayers for everyone all the way around the circle. But yes, for sure for Amelia and her family. So, okie dokie. Oh, do you realize? Yeah, someone realizes. Someone just all of a sudden got up and it's like, oh, wait, are you saying goodbye? Are you saying goodbye? So they do not understand that my mom is not home right now. So that's why they're barking anytime they hear a noise, they bark. And this one shakes. So anyhow, you guys all have an awesome day. I'm going to go make me some dinner. Sleep. You get some sleep. And we'll talk to y'all later if I can find my button to stop this